Welcome to Wine Soundtrack South Africa. Listen to the passion with which producers narrate their winery and their world. In 30 answers, discover their stories, personalities, and passions.
Hello friends and listeners of Wine Soundtrack, this is Merwe, and today I'm sitting with Megan van der Merwe from Beau, Constantia. Megan, a very warm welcome. Can you tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, that's a loaded question. Tell me more about yourself. I feel like there are so many things to say. I'm Megan van der Merwe, recently turned 30. I'm the general manager, winemaker and viticulturist for a small wine farm called Beau, Constantia. And I just wake up every morning loving life because it's a really cool job to have.
And I must just tell our listeners, Megan, 30-year-old young lady, female winemaker, which is so great. She has a signature look. She's got this beautiful dark brown hair and she puts it on a big ball on top of her head, and this is her look. This is how you're always going to identify Megan from the crowd. Some winemakers wear fedora hats, that's their signature, and Megan's got this look of this beautiful brown hair that's on top of her head. It's so gorgeous. I absolutely love it. So Megan, tell us about Beau, Constantia. Obviously in the name it says where it's located. What's the story behind it?
So, Beau Constantia is quite an interesting little space. We are obviously a part of the Constantia region, which is actually, as a little fun factoid, the oldest wine growing region in the Southern Hemisphere. You know, it dates back to 1685. So there's so much history and heritage here. But for us at Beau, or we're sort of more stuck on the modern side of history, if I can say as much. We were only founded in the year 2002. So the farm was originally a goat farm. If you go onto any of our social media or our website, you will see how steep the slopes are. It's almost like someone carved out a little bit of the Mosel and just stuck it to the top of the Vlakkenberg in Constantia. And I think, it was overgrown by pine trees, a little bit of a goat farm. It's the only thing any sane man would farm against these slopes. But then there was Preez, who decided that he would turn it into a viticultural playground after the fires in the year 2000. So we're a very young farm, like I said. We were only started planting vineyards in 2002, so I guess we're actually 20 years old this year, which is something that I didn't realize until now. So maybe next year we should have a little 21st birthday party.
I like your thinking. Any excuse for a party.
Yeah.
Tell me, how many hectares are under vine at present?
So the entire property is 22 hectares. We only have 11.32 hectares under vine. We have obviously our restaurant, our tasting room, some private residences, and then also just a couple of ecological barriers that sort of connect the different vineyards to the top of the Vlakkenberg.
And tell me about your wine. What is the style of wine that you make here?
So I guess we work with many different varieties and we work across many different pockets of terroir. The one thing that happens when you work against really steep slopes is that your soil profile changes tremendously quickly over very small distances. So we work in very, very small batches, and I think something that we try and hold ourselves to is to rather farm to perfection and then to purely preserve fruit in the cellar. So we try and work really, really hard in the vineyard so that there's nowhere that we need to hide when it comes to the winemaking.
Yeah, I think that certainly sounds like quite a big challenge, but one that, having tasted your wines, you've overcome very, very well. Other than here in South Africa, where would our listeners be able to find your wine in international markets?
So as a very small brand, we only actually really started getting into the international market in 2019. Then we obviously had, the 21st century prohibition situation in South Africa in 2020 and 2021. But you can find our wines in the UK, Germany, just basically most of Europe really, all the way through to Poland, in small batches in the US. And not yet so, but we really are trying to get our wines into the African market as well.
It's such an exciting market to enter, so I think everyone's got their sights set on Africa, that's for sure. So Megan, what would you say would be, or is there a distinct first memory that you had with when it came to wine that you thought, ooh, this is interesting stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, I landed up in wine very accidentally. I actually enrolled to study a BSc in polymer sciences when I first went to Stellenbosch University. I was going to do a general BSc and then just, figure it out as I go and potentially change majors. And what happened was I found out that there was this degree, a BSc degree, where, all of the kids that were studying it were basically having free pre-drinks on a Friday afternoon during class time. And I thought, what a better way to spend my time finding myself in my first year at Stellenbosch University. And I went to the first class by pure, avoidance of responsibility. And I just remember having a Wines of the World lesson with Kathy Marston at the time, and just falling madly and deeply in love with this glorious liquid. I think I just sat in that class and with the most ill intentions, and I just learnt about this art that is about philosophy and nature and just all of these incredible things, and I just found it endlessly interesting. So we're still learning new things about wine every day.
Indeed we are. Tell me, you've tasted quite a lot of wine along the way. Are there any standout wines that you've drunk, either outstandingly amazing or like shockingly bad?
No, we won't strap those winemakers in the shockingly bad category to a live stream. But wines that I really enjoyed are actually probably some of my favorite wines are wines from Saxum in Paso Robles, California. I think it's also just a story about a winemaker that spends more time on his tractor than he spends in his cellar. And I think that you can just when you taste a sip of his wine, it transports you back into that very place and the conditions that govern the ripening of the grapes in that pocket. And I think it's just such a transparent, authentic way to make wine. And I guess that's something that I strive to do as well, is just to allow for wine to be this time capsule where, if you know anything about drinking wine, it should transport you back into that little pocket of land that you preserved in the bottle, and I guess at the same time please the senses, and that's a job well done.
Okay, let's chat a little bit about your flagship wine here at Beau Constantia. What is it? What is it called? And what does it cost?
So for me, I mean, our flagship wine, we're in the northeast facing side of Constantia. We make predominantly red, but I think the wine that is the most special to me, and that I think really epitomizes what we do here at Beau Constantia and embodies our entire philosophy and our close proximity to the cold Atlantic Ocean and the rest of it, is the Beau Constantia Pierre. We've been working really hard on this wine. It's a blend of 5 vineyard blocks, 4 Sauvignon Blanc, 1 Semillon, and all 5 blocks go straight into the blend. Nothing is taken in or out. There's nowhere to hide in terms of winemaking, and it's an exciting parcel to work with. It's the parcel that probably works us the hardest. Maybe that's why it's named after the owner. But no, all my love to Pierre, if he's listening to this at any point. But it's 362 meters above sea level. These vines are absolutely battered and bonsaied by the famous Cape winds. We get 0.4 tons a hectare, and this incredible thing happens when you have wind speeds over 5 meters a second, which is what they face 90% of the time in growing season. And that's at the plant's tomatoes actually close, metabolism stops, and the plant no longer really metabolizes acid. So you get these intensely acidic Sauvignon Blanc berries that are incredibly small, and I almost want to say as salty as my skin after a day of working in that vineyard, and all of that just contributes to this complex little wine that cannot be made anywhere else. So it's a wine that we do partially fermentation on the skins to break down some of that acidity in a natural way, and then mature in clay amphora as well as very old oak for 8 months on the gross lees before releasing. And it's just this little Sauvignon Blanc that is so different to anything else that I tasted, and it excites me because we have so much Sauvignon Blanc planted in this country, and I don't think that it has the best rep. So it's an exciting little project. We do unfortunately sell out very quickly, so we're now on more of an allocation-based system for the pier. But the 2021 vintage sold out in I think about 3 weeks this year, and goes for $2.95 a bottle. That's rand. That's South African rands.
I think it's such good value for money. It really is a beautiful wine, and one that one should look out for if the opportunity were to present itself. You also do something a little bit more fun that is slightly different from the Beau Constantia range. Please tell me about that.
Are we referring to the creative batch and the Paranorm? Yeah, so Paranorm is another label that we have here at Beau Constantia. It's actually named after our late farm manager, Wimiapi Braun. The beard on the bottle is not some hipster from Bree Street in Cape Town. It is Wimiapi, and that's why we named it Paranorm, because he was this very quiet man that, tended to the vines basically all by himself, is responsible for planting all the vineyards here at Beau Constantia, the only man that could be convinced to come out of retirement to help Peter Preez in his journey of continuing the very cultural landscape of Constantia. And Wimiapi sadly passed a couple of years ago, so the wine is made to continuously talk about the legacy that he left for us. But the Paranorm range is a little bit different. So with the Beau Constantia range is made from grapes that we grow and aren't interfered with much in the cellar. With the Paranorm range, we get to be a little bit more creative in the cellar. So, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more fun. The wines are a little bit more explorative. We get to source grapes from all over the Western Cape. I mean, our creative batch is a Cape white blend of 6 different varieties. And it comes in a style that's completely skin fermented, so completely, I think, juxtaposes the position of the Beau Constantia brand. But it's really fun to be able to, offer people such a vast, different range of products, so that there's something for every palate when they visit us at Beau.
It's really great. I actually had one of them not so long ago when I visited your tasting room, probably a couple of weeks ago now. Getting down to wine, as a consumer, what do you enjoy drinking? What tickles your taste buds? White, red, sparkling, any specific varieties?
So, right now it's winter, so I'm knee-deep in some beautiful red wines. I think, and I had a conversation with someone about this yesterday, what's so exciting about South Africa, is that there's just so much diversity, and that we are allowed to plant whatever variety we want to plant in any particular spot. So, if I feel like drinking a Syrah, I could buy 5 different bottles from vastly different areas and, basically journey through the whole Western Cape in one evening. And I think that is something that really sets us apart. If I'm in Chateauneuf-du-Pape and I'm drinking Grenache, it's very hard to almost benchmark what is great and what is not, because they're all so similar. And it's exciting for me that there's just so much for my palate to explore in the South African landscape.
We really are spoiled, I must say, and the diversity of our offering is really something that we can certainly be proud of, but most definitely enjoy. Okay. In terms of food pairing, so here you've got a wonderful restaurant, the Chef's Warehouse by Chef Liam Tomlin. But for you, do you have any wine and food pairing tips or anything, that would help the average consumer who doesn't necessarily know how to pair? Is there a recipe, or is it just trial and error?
I think it's really hard. I think, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Our palates are all vastly different. So even when it comes to wine tastings, I generally don't try and tell people what to taste. I can tell them about my experience, and I can tell them about how the wine is made. But I think, it's a creative journey that we should all indulge in, and it's a creative journey that we should all experiment with. And I think that if you feel that your red wine is best paired with, I don't know. Now I'm thinking of terrible pairings, but I don't want to put anyone off. But I think it's all up to you. I think you should try different things together, and see what works for your palate.
Do you have a hangover remedy? It's $1 million question, this, I think.
Oh my goodness, I think rule number 1 is just no beer after wine. that's one that I need to remind myself of quite often. Stay hydrated, and yeah, just avoid the hangover by not actually drinking too much. I think drink better wine, probably drink more expensive wine, and savor it. I think I'd love for people to see wine as less of a vice and more of a work of art. There's a lot of hard work that goes into producing every single drop of wine, which is, I guess, why I still have all of my frustrations towards the prohibition, because it is in no way just a vice or a drink. It is history, it is philosophy, it is blood, sweat and tears, it is agriculture, it is heritage. There's so much more that goes into a glass of wine. So my hangover remedy is drink the better stuff.
I like your hangover remedy. Moderation is key. Okay. We're sitting here, and to our listeners, it's all I can say is we're in this glass box overlooking the Constantia Valley, and there's these rolling hills with vineyards. It is the middle of winter. In fact, it's the 24th of June. Last night it was announced that we here in South Africa no longer need to wear masks, and all the restrictions have been lifted. So, it's been raining a lot, and the view is spectacular. But right below this box where we're sitting is a stunning amphitheater, and I know they often have music performances and live events and all kinds here. However, Megan, today a UFO is landing in the amphitheater, and it's filled with aliens.
I did not see that coming.
And these aliens have traveled from a long way off. They are thirsty. What are you going to pour for them to drink?
Sure. How's it, guys? Welcome to Beau, Constantia. Excellent selection on your part. Glad we could provide you with this like a landing strip down in our amphitheater. What will I pour for these guys to drink? I think what I'd pour for them to drink would definitely be, I think, our Cecily. I think it's a wine that really pleases the senses. It jumps out of the glass. It's so floral and so beautiful. And if I could put any one of our wines into a perfume bottle and wear it every morning, I think that would be that. So definitely, I think our Cecily.
I think that's a very good choice. It's a lovely wine. Tell me, when it comes to harvest, do you have any harvest rituals or kind of good luck things that you do either by yourself or with your team as harvest kind of commences?
Yeah, so harvest is a really exciting period. I think, we work really hard in the vineyards, and sort of when it gets to harvest, you're at that point where you sort of for a moment just stop working and you start reflecting, and as you pick the bunches, you can really measure how well you manage to farm or take care of this particular block that you're in. The team absolutely loves harvest. People are always singing and dancing, and after each day we do a little braai with the team and talk about the crop and what we thought we did well that year, or where we could potentially do better. And then for myself, I guess it's morning affirmations and very salty afternoon swims to, wake myself back up again and to get back at it.
Yes, that cold water swim thing, I've never really taken to that, but I will believe you that it is reinvigorating. Okay, so some people read tea leaves in the bottom of a teacup. Say you could read the sediment of an aged red wine that is left over in a glass. What do you think it would tell you?
Well, I mean, ironically, there is a lot that you can tell from the sediments in the bottom of a bottle. So this is not new to me. It's not a new concept. I do it often, We would hope that it's not tartaric acid crystals or color instability, but actually just a little bit of lees that was picked up in the bottling process, especially in wines that aren't filtered. But you can tell a lot about healthy lees in the bottom of a bottle. I'm not someone that needs to necessarily drink clean wine. I think it's a nice little snack after a good glass of wine to have.
Crunchy. Megan, what did you want to be when you were a little girl?
Steve Irwin. I wanted to be Steve Irwin. I literally ran around the garden with my fake little microphone. It was probably a toilet roll or my mum's hairbrush or whatever it was at the time. And I would lift every rock and talk to every lizard and, sort of make my own little TV shows. I've always been obsessed with the man.
Okay, that's kind of cool. That's an interesting one, next to the wild side. Yeah. And then what do you do in your free time?
Free time, I like to spend as much as possible time with my family. I like to, be a rock lizard out somewhere, whether it be on Table Mountain or out in the salty coast of the cold Atlantic Ocean. I spend a lot of times outdoor, and then basically, just hanging out with family and friends and my little dude Otis.
Okay, music. You into music? Any particular singers or groups or genres that you're particularly into right now?
Very into music. Right now, I think is not really something that is very suited to me. I mean, can you believe that Beyonce is now doing house music, and so is Drake? I mean, I just do not even know what's happening. A little bit of marketing myopia there, but no, I've always been more old school. I still appreciate bands such as Pink Floyd and Duran Duran, and that's sort of where I'm stuck. So I'm more of a vinyl person than I am about modern trends and things.
Bring on the 80s. Yeah. And what about movies? Do you enjoy movies, or are there any movies that you would make up your top list of favorites?
I really enjoy film. I really enjoy beautiful cinematography. I enjoy films that are not necessarily, of origin Hollywood, but things that contain a little bit more depth and manage to communicate with me and make me feel present. Basically, I think anything that Jake Gyllenhaal's ever played in, I think, there could be a full list of top 10. But I really enjoy film.
Okay, and then tell me, what would you consider your proudest achievement professionally? I mean, you're still a young gun. You've actually got so much ahead of you, but you've also come a long way working for a couple of the more well-known wineries here in Constantia.
So, professional achievement, I think, it's a big responsibility and a massive honor to even hold the position that I hold at Beau today. Pierre really put a lot of trust on me, so that's a massive responsibility and honor to hold. But I think from a point of wine scores, we just got a 95 gold in the decanter for our Pierre, and it's not 100 points, but I think that for that little block and seeing how far it's come and how hard we work, it is genuinely something that has humbled us to receive that kind of award and recognition for a vineyard that is, really struggling to latch onto the hillside that it's growing in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you open your social media account and you see an article of a paparazzi that have taken this photo of some VIP famous person as they were having dinner in a restaurant, and on the table is one of your wines. What wine was on the table, and who is that VIP?
Sure. So I would hope that the wine on the table would be the Luca. It's a wine that sort of turns you into more of an introvert than an extrovert. I think whenever we leave for a dinner party and I have a bottle of Luca in the hand, my partner will just strip it from my hand and replace it with something else, because I end up sitting in the corner and just, sipping and swirling my night away by myself, chatting to my wine. So I would hope it would be the Luca, because it sort of enforces conversation at the table. And then I just really hope that it's someone like-minded having the wine, and that, shame, like my wine is not being drunk by some far right politician somewhere. I'm trying to hold myself back here. I've got so many things I could say, but let's think about it. Who would I like to have my wine? I think someone that would appreciate and understand it. I think for me, VIPs are very different to what I think normal people understand VIPs to be. But I think someone like Francis Molman, who I really respect for the way that he crafts and cooks his food, and for his palate, I think that would be a really cool person to have the wine.
Good stuff. Tell me, what sort of wines do you think will be drunk in the year 2300?
2,300, at the rate that we are not farming for the future as a global community. I genuinely hope that we're drinking wine by the year, 2,300. That has a ring to it. But I think definitely in South Africa, we would have moved to planting varieties that can manage the new climatic conditions far better. I think we will probably be drinking lighter, earlier ripening reds. I think we're moving into a stylistic era where we're making these lighter style reds, and where we're producing more serious whites. Maybe by that point, I don't know. It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought sitting here and looking out over the beautiful landscape in Constantia and wondering what our children will inherit to farm with and to savor and enjoy in terms of wine in the year 2300. It really makes you think.
It certainly does. And, you do wonder what the landscape will look like at that time. Okay. Name... Oh, hang on. I'm going to change this question. These aliens that have landed, you have had the best time with them, and they've convinced you to take a ride with them in their spaceship and go and check out their land or country. And they've said you can come along and you can bring 3 wines, any 3 wines. What 3 wines are those?
Would they be my wines, or could they be any wines?
Any.
Ooh. Probably take some really funky, wildly fermented pet nut, just in case, I need a weapon. I will probably take a Sauvignon Blanc. I'll take a bottle of the Pierre, because I feel like they can teach me a couple of things about altitude farming. And then I would take a beautiful Grenache from Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
That sounds nice.
It is chilly out today.
It is. What is a winemaking area anywhere in the world that you would really like to discover?
I would love to go and explore Portugal. I
I think it is an interesting area. It's just got steeped in history and some really interesting wines. Okay, we're almost done. It's time for a little game.
Okay.
So, you're really into music, which is wonderful. I am going to name 3 varieties, and you are going to pair each of them with either a song or an artist or a genre if we have to go that far out. So I think I'm going to begin with, let's start with Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, shine on you, crazy diamond.
That was so quick. It was right there. Okay, next, Grenache.
Ooh, Grenache. Let's go with Brenda Fossey's Weekend Special.
Weekend Special. Very cool. And then I think let's finish up with Viognier.
Wish You Were Here. By Pink Floyd.
That one. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool song. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm going to finish off. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was super chatting to you. Before we sign off, please tell our listeners where they can find Beau Constantia, what they can expect to experience if they were to ever visit the vineyard, and also your online presence.
Cool. Yeah, guys, you can find out most about what we do here at Beau on our social media feeds. It's managed by me and, 2 of the other kids that work here alongside me. We have a lot of fun in what what we do, and I feel like that is super tangible when you visit us at the estate. There's something for everyone, whether you want to come and sip and swill and have your pinky up with a glass of good wine in our glass encased tasting room overlooking the valley, whether you want to come for a 10-course degustation down at Chef's Warehouse, whether you want to come to a silent disco or a live concert in our amphitheatre, or come and have tacos or bao buns in our food truck that overlooks the valley from our Paranormal deck. There really is something for absolutely everyone to enjoy at Beau Constantia, but I dare you to come and check that out for yourself. And then otherwise, www.beauconstantia.com. We are actually launching our brand new website next week, so the last week of June in 2022, and it's going to be a little interactive experience so that you can all enjoy visiting Beau even from the comfort of your own couch.
That's very cool. I'll definitely go and check it out as soon as it's live. Megan, thank you so much for your time. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, Morena. Cheers, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to a new episode of Wine Soundtrack South Africa. For details and updates, visit our website winesoundtrack.com.